No matter how many times you read about it in books, no matter how many times you see it on TV, nothing prepares you for the pain of heartbreak. Good evening, Toastmaster members and guests. My name is Ciara Murphy. I recently went through a heartbreak, and tonight I'd like to share the story of how I got through it. Ours was not a dramatic breakup. There was no screaming, no throwing things. It was just a mature conversation between two people that ended with the knowledge that things weren't going to work out. At that moment, I didn't feel angry or upset or even particularly sad. I mostly felt disappointed. Disappointed that we couldn't be who the other person needed us to be. Disappointed that this thing that I'd invested so much time and energy into was over. Disappointed that this person I'd grown so close to was now nothing more than a stranger. Overall, our relationship had been a relatively easy one, and by far the hardest part, however necessary, was leaving. When I did, that chapter was over, and a new chapter, that of heartbreak, began. Of course, not every relationship ends in heartbreak, but for those that do, I'd like to offer some tips on how I dealt with mine in the form of what I like to call the 4 Ds of heartbreak. The first of these is to get devastated. That seems like the logical thing to do, right? Get sad after a breakup. But when I say devastated, I really mean it. I don't mean hide from your emotions, but lean into them. The morning after my breakup, I cried so hard in the shower, I could feel it in my bones. I wallowed in my sadness. I couldn't eat for days, not because I was being dramatic, but because I genuinely didn't have the appetite. I wasn't shying away from my sadness, but allowing myself to deeply feel every emotion. Because if I hadn't cried out every single tear, there would still be some left, and I'd probably still be crying right now. The second step, and this one is a little bit controversial, is to get disgusted. Sadness, of course, is a very valid emotion when it comes to breakups, but if you really want to get over them, I definitely recommend this one. Whether you were the instigator of the breakup or not, they all happen for a reason, right? And I found it really helpful to reframe the way I was thinking about those reasons, from sadness to something more akin to disgust. Your partner wasn't treating you the way you deserve to be treated. That's not something to be sad about. That's something to be put off by. They cheated on you? Definitely disgusting. You weren't emotionally ready to support your partner? Well, that's an unattractive trait in yourself. All reasons, valid reasons why a breakup might happen. Now, I'm not saying that you should forget all of the good things about your relationship, nor am I saying that you should absolve yourself of the responsibility you played in that breakup. But now is the time to whip off those rose-colored glasses and really see certain elements of your relationship for what they were. Unattractive. It is what it is. The third step, and this one is really important, is to get distracted. Immediately after my breakup, there was this huge void. I no longer had that person I could call in the evenings. I didn't know what I was going to do with my weekends because we always spent them together. What was I going to do with this newfound time? Sitting around feeling sorry for myself didn't seem like the answer. So instead, I filled those evenings with calls to friends who had fallen by the wayside when I'd been so involved in my relationship. I got involved in every single club and activity in my city as a means to take my mind off of the breakup. In fact, you can even thank my breakup for me being here tonight, because Toastmasters is one of those activities I started. I even started doing things I never would have considered before, like board games nights and museum clubs, and I met amazing people I wouldn't have met otherwise. But most of all, I was doing these things for me, and because they brought me joy. And I realize now that in losing my partner, I was beginning to rediscover myself. The final step, the fourth D, is to get done. This is the stage I'm in right now. And honestly, I think that maybe giving this speech is even part of my healing process. My relationship was fun and exciting and beautiful and confusing and painful, and now it's over, and that's okay. Whilst I would never wish that kind of pain on myself or on anyone else ever again, I know that if it does happen, I have 4 solid steps that I can use to help me get through it. We all have things that we never thought we'd get through, and yet here we are. I've been through difficult times before, and it's been okay, and I'll go through difficult times again, and it'll be okay. Heartbreak really is a bitch, let's be honest, but it ends. And something that I think is really lovely is if that you can feel heartbreak that intensely, it's just an indication of how intensely you love, and that's something to be proud of.